What do you think? There, it stays on its own. Wait till we get into 16. We don't need to recreate this up here. That's for the vent window. But this main member here, we recreate that, and we have to make mounts, or plates I should say, threaded plates with little things like this that allow us to slide around to adjust the door, so we can get that in to the passenger door. Alright, so what you saw me working on was taking this 1/2-inch block, sliding it in between the door perimeter and the jamb, and making sure that we have a consistent 1/2-inch space all the way up. I've also taken and welded a few little blocks, or tacked a few little blocks to the perimeter to hold the jamb, because it's not really feasible to clamp everything in place. We put these blocks in, tack them, and set the jambs, or the door perimeter, to the jambs that way. There's a little container of different thicknesses of blocks. Usually I run with 3/16 because I want a 3/16 perimeter, but at the bottom I'm running with 1/4. Here it doesn't matter, and back in here again we have a little spacer. This clamp can come off. You see how this inner jamb jumped a little bit, so we have to make sure again that we have our 1/2-inch space. Now I can't really get the camera in here, and I really can't get this block of wood in here because we have the flange for the seal to set on. What I want to do, what it's important to get done, is this structural piece of 16 gauge. I can again release that clamp. See, nothing's moved. We can go ahead, I've taken dimensions off the other side and form up a piece that's going to extend from this front surface back onto this web that we haven't created yet. I want to get this piece of 16 gauge fitted in, bolted to our hinges. That means creating a set of plates with a little slip slide system. I'll tell you what I mean in a moment. And we can get that inner web in done last. That's about the easiest part. This stuff here, this is the crazy stuff. The corner has to be filled, and this corner has to be blended in. This space here at the front, we have to take and extend a flange, a piece of material, strip out to pick up wherever this fender is going to pick up. So I'm going to shoot past, in behind, tack it to here, weld it, and then we can take and trim it to the gap we need. Got heavy. Now this offset has to be 1 inch exactly. Either way, this way or that, is going to make a huge difference with our door perimeter and whether it works or not. So just put that there. Yes. Now this bend, we have to take this apron off and slide this in a bit further. This one's going to be 90 degrees. Get this one done and then get the other one done. 90. Just now that it's out, we can test it. And it has to be bought up a little more. Let's try that. Almost too much. Used to have a protractor on here, got knocked off or taken off or something along the way over the years. All right. So that's 2 of the 3 bends. Gotta take that off, stick it in one more time, and bend it up. And then we can go start scribing this part to the door. Yeah. Now this is the crucial bend, as I mentioned. This has to be exactly 1 inch. So we may have to bend and unbend it. Right there. No tape measure. Ah! You guys see my tape measure? Ah, here we are. In the trunk. I was planning out that structure. Yes, 1 inch, 1 inch. And how we're gonna tackle that. Ooh, the brake doesn't like that too much. So, that's good. Check 1 inch and 1 inch. Let's go fit this. So those of you who've been following along with the build, this goes this way, you'll probably notice that we have some significant changes going on. On the other areas of the car. Took a break from this and decided to work on those power windows, get the fin tips installed. We'll go over that in a bit. I just have to make sure that, yeah, we're gonna create a 1 inch flange down below here, roll it out, pick up the bottom of the door for strength. Can't just have a raw edge and hope that that's gonna hold. So we'll trim that up, roll that. All we need is this part here. This can be trimmed away into a radius once I figure out exactly where it's going to sit. This outside edge does have a curvature outward, just like the other door. In here, this is straight, so this is going to sit straight. Our hinges can't have a curve, so it won't operate properly. Once the bottom's bent, then we'll take and scribe the top, get that established. I believe from the bottom up, according to my dimensions, it was 21 at the front and 24 at the rear. I can get those in, and that leaves us 1/2 inch flange at the top, which is what we planned for. Okay. And that would be a flange that gets bent over to pick up the door here. That way we're tying the top and bottom as well as this face together, and there's not going to be any twisting. And there's the top flange, so we're going to have to radius that corner, get this in just like that. This is going to be punched, and that's going to tie in to the face here. Now, can I cut that by hand? Probably not. Let's get the plasma, knock that out. to grab my old tin snips because this is going to be pretty darn heavy to cut. I don't want to strain my new ones. Oh, it drifted. I have to go above the line because of the radius. And on the other side, the factory also installed a plate down here on top of this layer. Yeah, it's sandwiching, but that plate tied this in to the structure. Go and come back here. People don't normally build their own doors. They go and see their local automotive body panel supplier, or they go to the junkyard, or they find it on Marketplace. Here, we're building a door from scratch. All right, let's get that bent. I can put that in my finger brake, or if you don't have a finger brake, put that in a vise and roll it over. Yeah, we're going to have to take and remove that corner a little bit more. Check that out. Now we're sitting a little high here. This door edge rolls out, so this flange is a little bit too upright. Let's fix that. This corner is keeping us out, so I'm gonna, it's gonna sit right there. We'll make that adjustment once we get the top in. Yeah, we shouldn't have to do too much trimming up here. What do you heard that? You don't want to do this with a pair of snips that you recently bought. That's an old pair. There's a finger brake sitting right over there, just showing you that this can be done with a vise as well. See the corner sticking up? We'll never get that in, so I gotta take that out. get the miles on. Okay, that's good. It's sitting flat on the hinges, and what I'm doing now is just tucking things into place. Okay. Got a screw here that's messing us up. Just move it over. Get a Cleco in there, it'd be way too big. You wouldn't be able to get done what need to get done. Okay, this should be it. I just gave the front a nice gradual curve. Right there. So that's fitting in really well at the front. It's sitting on the hinges. We're gonna get some clamps on this, clamp this panel to the hinges and fit the perimeter, get some screws into it. Will that stay? Can you guys keep an eye on that and make sure it doesn't move? Should be okay. I have about 15 seconds before it does decide to fall. Okay, hey, it didn't fall. Uh-oh. Yeah. ¼ plus 16 gauge right there. This is a lot of fun. Don't you think so? Building your own door, I'm sure many people wouldn't bother. See, with this leg right now, we have to roll it a little bit more, bend it up, because it's not making contact with the flange on the inside, the imaginary one that we haven't created yet. This is actually kicking out like that. So we'll increase this bend a little more, pick that up, and tie it all in together, get a screw in through that. However, I don't want to lose what we have right now. Oh, let me double check something. Are these hinges all the way in, swung in? See, they might have to pivot a bit more. Let me check that. Good thing you guys stopped me. Up here, same thing. See how it's swung out? So we're gonna have to adjust those flanges to allow this to swing in, because we can't have this big gap here. The other side doesn't have it. I actually went back, unbent what I had. I should have trusted what I had the first time. Like that. See that? Right there. That motion. If this was clamped, it would just all fall apart. Those tacks are helping us out a lot. Let me bend this leg. Oh, that's sitting much better. All right. It's all the little things that will add up and become a large problem later. If we don't address it. See how it jumped out? Can't let that go. That's 1/16 of an inch, or heavy 1/16. That's going to mess things up if we leave that. So I have to squeeze the hinge tight to the panel, and then we can put the front screw in. I guess we can take this off. Give us some more room. Screws are 3/4 inches long, and the space up there is 1/2 inch, so we're bumping this top. Well, that there is a huge step forward. Can't get a screw in here, that's okay. If anything, I'd bring that down, but I'm gonna leave it. These blocks, we're gonna leave these spacers in place at the moment. That's solid. What I can do is drill through the hinge hole, punch out this side for the hinge bolts. We're gonna have to enlarge these holes afterwards, once we get the door off, so that we have adjustability. I got all the bolts scrounged up here. We have to find a tap. We've got to get a plate. I think I have one over here. I set it aside. Okay, so I found this plate earlier, and it had 2 holes. I don't know what it came from. I guess it had 4 holes because they were welded up at some point. Who knows? I'm gonna split this in half, drill and tap for these bolts, so we can mount this plate here. Now, when I drill through, we're gonna have the right size hole for the bolt, which isn't good. Reason why? We're gonna enlarge the holes so that we have adjustability for our door. Even though everything's gapped on the spacers, to the fenders, to the quarter, all set, there might be whatever reason you have to adjust this door, and if the holes are dead on and the plates are fixed to the door, you won't have your adjustability. It's not factory. It's custom, which could lead you into some issues later on. So we'll enlarge these holes, set this up by utilizing that hole and another one with little tabs that stick out, I'll show you, so that we can move this door around, tighten it, and set it to wherever we want later on if we need to. So on the driver's side here, I've been playing around with the window mechanisms. Everything's coming in quite nicely. Trax developed those. Aftermarket kits. We've shaved a lot of weight by not using the original mechanism. You have a gap at the front to fill, but anyway, I have digressed. Here is that structural member, and you see how more complicated this one is. For me to copy this one, I'm going to spend days on this. Little recesses, all this, you know. I need the door check. I need the plate mounts, which we have. They've rolled an edge up here instead of laying it flat because they had a quarter window in here, and we no longer have it, so we don't have to recreate that. Simplifying. We have our flange towards the front, and we have these plates that I was talking about. You see the bolts coming out, and you also see these little tabs that they've turned. They've stuck them through the hole and turned them. So the plate is free to move wherever you want it to move, within reason. We just need 1/4 inch front and back, even an 1/8 front and back, up and down. That's fine. So we'll enlarge the holes in the 16 gauge, and we'll have the plate on a slip slide system, top and bottom. Yeah, that's going to look really trick. That back window comes down, the front window comes ahead. When they come together, they seal perfectly. And we're going to have a custom seal up at the top. That's a remnant of the trim from the top of the glass. We're going to keep the trim around the window. So on this side, you obviously can see how much simpler it is. I squeeze that clamp pretty good. So we'll drill through, get the holes, work on that plate. You see the fin comes down, the fin tip comes down into the door jamb area. We need to massage the front tip a little bit. That'll be done later. I want to get this door established and swung so that we can kind of finalize things in this area. I've been walking past that fender for days and it's been bugging me. There's something not quite right about it. Let's fix it. I know we're working on the door, but since we're doing so well on that 16 gauge reinforcement structural piece, I thought we could treat ourselves by doing a little cosmetic surgery. Do you know where I'm going yet? I don't. Yeah. I like that a lot better. A little something here. We're not going to go this far. I just want to outline the edge of that fender hole. As you build, you see things. And then once you see it, you kind of can't unsee it. So, we're going to make some adjustments. So what I've just done is lightened the front of this car up two ways. Took out a piece of sheet metal and reduced the mass of this area ahead of the door. It just looked heavy. Front end, we've reduced the weight of that, trimmed it up, tailored it, and that's what I'm doing right here with this arch, tailoring it. I'm going to cut up a little bit higher so we can tuck that in. We'll massage this little feature in, and I'll do a before and after in the video. And there we go. Taking out that 1 inch, barely, I guess it's 1 inch, yeah, 1 inch wedge. Yeah, it's about an inch. Just transformed the front of that wheel arch. Didn't change it too much, just a little bit, and enough to reduce the distance in front of the door. We can't go too much, then that translates into a whole other thing. We have to relocate the bolt location at the bottom, that one there, move it back, and by pulling it back too much, it'll kind of allow you to see too much of the suspension inside. Right now what we did was take out a comfortable amount. So I'll kneel on that when I go to weld that back together. So there we have it. Let's step back a little bit further. Take a look. Oh yeah, right there. Check that out. Much better. And we've also extended the back one down a little bit more than what it was originally. Just to give it a little, bring the body down a little bit. It looked a bit thin right there. You had all this mass here, but then as it came back, for whatever reason, that rocker was about an inch, 3/4 of an inch higher. And that made that area look right there too thin. So we've kind of adjusted things. Let me put a tack or two on that, just to hold it there for us, so we can look at it some more. I'll finish it later. We got that door to finish building. All right, so I'll let these cool off because they're a little bit heavy. I'm going to find a tap, a drill bit for that tap, and I'll show you how we do that. We'll drill and tap these and get them mounted on the door. 5/16 tap, that one. 5/16 by, 5/16 by 18. You can hardly read it, but it's there. So now we got to find a drill bit for this. All right, so we're looking at the drill size, tap size, there we go. 5/16 by 18, 0.2570, which is this one right here. So we're gonna double check the threads of the tap against the bolt. That's right there, right on. We can use a nut to do that as well, but this works. I've center punched it. We'll pilot drill the holes and then drill the actual holes and tap everything. So just finished priming these plates. We'll prime this after. I have to take this all apart, drill these bigger in the sheet metal, not the hinges. And we also have to create the slip slide system. So I'm going to use some 3/8 or 1/4 inch, I should say, truss head bolts. And I'll mark the locations, pre-drill, weld them from the other side when we stick them through. They're really short bolts. These little guys right here. So they're going to stick through this hole, just barely protruding into the sheet metal, and allow this plate to move around where it needs to. Oops, maybe we can go and Dremel. Nah, we got lots of room. This thing's jumpy. Yeah, we'll be okay. So, let's get this plate bolted in. Oh, I can't get the one on the inside. Ah, that's what they did. They cut a hole out for the hinge there. Okay, no problem. We're gonna run with 2 bolts for now. For this bolt here, the flange is in the way. On the driver's door, they took and cut most of it away to access that bolt. We can do that later on. You see how this is kind of tight? So we'll have to enlarge. Should I do that now? Can I do that? Nope, the hinge is in all the way. I can't swing it back anymore to re-drill the sheet metal. So it will have to be done later. I think maybe a ratcheting box end will be in order at the moment. So let's get this one on, and then I'll get, which way do we go? That's fine. Those sheet metal holes being so small, it makes it a little bit tricky to get these in, but we can do it. Sometimes you got to draw the line when it comes to the work that needs to be done or work has to be done. At the end of the day, this Chrysler isn't worth that much. We're not doing it wrong, it's just another way of doing it. There's many ways to approach this. We can go all out and just recreate an identical copy of the driver's side. But is it necessary? I know I talked about factory look, but that looks pretty factory. Once we create the little boss in here for that door check, it'll come around. That's where that drill bit went to. That feels really good. It's pulling it nice and tight, but we're in no condition, no position to swing this door just yet. Okay, I'll bring you guys in on the inside, show you what's going on. So there's our plates. We're gonna have to mark these 2 horizontal holes for the truss head bolts to stick through. like that, and that's going to allow that plate to stay in place, not fall off when we undo the bolt as well. On the inside, we have that bolted nice and tight, and yeah, on the driver's side there, let's see if I can zoom in. You see the pocket hole they created to access the bolts? We need to create the same thing right here between those two black lines, because there's one bolt up in here, oops, up in there that we can't get to. No problem. We are well on our way to, I think, at this point, filling in the middle. Let's get this thing done, because I want to get the skin on, because I want to get this thing rolled outside and take a look at it. Check out that fin. It's all blending in. A little more metal finishing to do. And in case you're wondering what these are, they're not for speed. They're for drainage. Because when the water comes in, or if it comes in through the top for the window, there's going to be a seal here. But if any water does get in, it has a place to come down, drain out, and then in the bottom of the rocker, there will be more holes for water to get out. And they're going to be shaped in such a way that there'll be a cut, the front will be opened up, the back will be elevated up, so that you don't actually have a hole, you have a slot. You're not collecting water into that rocker as you're driving. As you're accelerating, the water is actually draining rearward and out. So that has to be reprimed. Got to Dremel this burr away because I don't want that done like that. So Dremel that up, clean them up, and then the quarter panel can be installed for the final time, but not before the window mechanism. Driver's side is getting very close in terms of spacing. Need to create or install the tracks, which are here. Get them in. Once I'm happy with everything and how it operates, power it up, power down, all that fun stuff, then we'll go ahead, come over here. This side should go a little bit faster, and I might even do that on camera. We'll see how much interest there will be in power windows, because every situation is different. I might give you a tip or two, but that might be enough to get you by if you're in a bind. So we'll get that all going. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a video on power windows and how to install those regulators, aftermarket regulators. Notice at the top there, we have the installation of the seal. That's part of it. Just a sample piece I've been playing with to make sure that everything comes down and around. And the height of the door is actually going to go a little bit higher than that for the door panel. Cover all that stuff up. Okay, let's mark those before we forget. Maybe even drill them part ways. And then we can get a template going, or cut out a blank of sheet metal and get it installed, pinned, and perhaps we can swing this door. We have to do the latch yet. Can't forget about the latch. Remind me. I thank you in advance. Yeah, this has to sit right here. See how it's kind of sprung forward? So we'll get that done. This here, that's strange. It's very much like the other side, actually. This panel isn't a straight panel downward. The inside of the door has a curve to it. So I just noticed there's a bit of a kink right there, and that's actually normal. I have to clean it up a little bit, but this panel needs to have a curve this way. I don't know why they did that. A lot of times it's just straight line all the way down from the top to the bottom, perhaps for more hip room for that front bench seat that we're not using. But I'm not about to change the width of the door, because that means I have to change that one. And well, that's worked out quite well over there. This one we're building, so we're gonna make it curved, clean that up over there. Yeah, we need to create one more piece down in here. Just like that. It's additional reinforcement. Yeah, this one here, the 16 gauge went back in and down. That's perhaps why they put this in, but I'd like to see that little piece of sheet metal in there, tie it in, reinforce this corner, because we don't want this door sagging the minute we open it. We'll have to load it up with the window, the glass. That's a pretty big piece of glass and a little bit of weight there. So that will potentially sag the door if it's not strong enough. So I'm not sure if this is what you expected when I said I'll be building a door from scratch, but this is what we're getting. 41 inches. Yeah, these screws are going to be in our way to get that blank installed. So we're going to have to, well, that's not a problem here because I can get in with a primer. We need to take, yes, we'll tack here, we'll tack this, and we'll undo this to allow us to slip that piece in, reinforce. Just trying to see what we can get away with without disassembling everything, because everything's set up right now and I want to get that piece installed. This screw, we can put a little tack here if we need to and weld or put a tack there and hammer that out to the curvature we need. Thought process is very important at this stage because we don't trap ourselves. So next time you build a door, check out this video and you'll have an idea as to kind of how to approach it. It's not an exact Cole's notes, you're going to do this, this, and this, but things to look out for. Door check here, that has to go in, and it has to be like a diagonal type of setup. So I have to find the door checks for this car. But that can be done once that panel's in. With that panel, we have to create the access for the regulator. There's a door handle armrest that goes right there. Access for the door handle, exterior door handle there, and latch hole there. So we're going to copy that one, enlarge that one on that door as well, this one over here, and door handle, yes, oops, sorry guys, door handle right, I'm trying to coordinate my hand with the door, right there. There's two bolts, star washers, that's where the interior door handle goes. So we have to copy that. That shouldn't be too much trouble. The rest of that is just stuff. Now, our regulator on this side, driver's side, mounts on that one bolt there and where that vice grip is there. That area is bossed out. We're going to have to compensate on this door with a bracket to bring it out. So you see that piece of box tubing on that side there that the vice grip is holding? That's going to be a bracket, not a piece of steel just stuck in. That's just a spacer for now. We'll have to make a bracket to hold that regulator in that location. Probably down away from the edge so that it doesn't interfere with that nice little reveal we created. Yes. This leg has to come in and not out. That's what was throwing that off. Okay, let's put a few tacks there, get rid of those screws, tacks there, so we can get that panel situated. Once we have the main shape kind of created, we'll go through and make those holes. Now, I mentioned earlier that if you're welding on a door, you clamp to the door, but because we have these little spacer blocks holding the door to the body welded, but because we have these spacer blocks tacking the door structure to the body, I'm not too concerned about sparks going through the hinges. Ooh, for such a little screw, that thing's heavy. Very nice. Okay, let's draw this up. I measured it, but I forget what I measured. 41. 40. That'll be fine. We're going to trim this off to a nice consistent width. Forty-one, and oh no, that's not good. Talk about trapping ourselves. No screw gets left behind, except for that one. How do you get at? Now that we've welded this structural piece to the surround, we can't get to that one. That I don't feel like cutting those tacks. So that screw, we're gonna have to sacrifice it, cut it off. Darn, poor little guy. $41, top, oh yeah, 41. We need to do the structural offset at the top, just like that side there. It's going to be the same, this roll up in here. Yes, that's fine. From the bottom, roll at 26 1/4. Roll up there to there, 26 1/4. And again, we don't need to copy everything, just the important aspects of the surround or the perimeter, where it rolls over up there and it rolls up to pick up the fuzzies. We have to copy that all the way through to the end. No quarter vent. We're gonna have to add to this door as well. I forgot about that, because we can't just stop the fuzzy there anymore. Unless the fuzzy is part of the inner door panel. You know what? We don't have to add to that door. That's fine, because the fuzzies are part of the indoor panel. All of those holes were for this piece of rusty angle iron they had mounted to the top of the door for the chrome trim, or the pot metal trim that they had up there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish marking everything out, transpose on some sheet metal, cut it out, and get it located. I'll bring you guys in when we start clamping things. I will have to make some of the holes so we can reach through and clamp to the structure, surrounding structure, because, well, that's part of the structure as well. And, hello. And we'll see if we can get this door swung, the door shell swung. Maybe we'll put a little reinforcement here. Maybe not, we'll see. The other side we were able to swing it, so I don't see why we can't swing this side. I need to create that reinforcement down there as well. And the corners. Boy, still a lot of work left. And this corner, and we need to add here. Yikes.